In New England, the lore of modified racing is infamous. It's NASCAR's oldest division, and New Hampshire Motor Speedway is the mecca of speed for these ground pounders. They say these drivers live by the grace of God and 600 horsepower, and today we'll find out what that really means. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, the FW Webb 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Cloudy skies overhead here today at the Magic Mile, but you know what? Everything is going to be A-OK because it's going to be a dynamite race. Temperature 60 degrees. Possible chance of precipitation today, but we think we're going to get all 100 laps in here today for the modified division. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Dillner. Alongside of me in the booth, the Dr. Dick Berggren, and we are excited about these modifieds today. The big question is, we see Cup cars on TV all the time. What's special about a modified?
Well, the thing that's special about them is, let's start with 130 miles an hour average speed on this racetrack. Great big wide tires, so they hug the ground. They are incredibly fast, and they are all over each other for the entire race.
You speak about all over each other. When we were here in July, a fantastic finish, and this is the super speedway for modified racing. Are we going to see another close finish here today like we did in July?
That's kind of the record of it here on the bottom. Ronnie Silk in that white car led the majority of the event, but on the outside, Mike Stefanik, whoa, just won by inches.
And that wasn't the closest finish ever here. Mike Stefanik going to victory lane for the 8th time in his NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour career. But we've seen an even closer finish here. Check this out.
Yeah, we sure have. The number 4 on the bottom. Keep an eye. Watch the crash coming up. Boom. Close finish.
Chuck Hosfeld by that much over Ted Christopher, and he went to victory lane in 2008. That was a fantastic battle. And by the way, we have a Cup driver in the field here today. Ryan Newman versus all these modified guys. Everybody wants to beat the Rocket.
Well, yeah, they want to beat the Rocket, but the Rocket has got enough problems of his own, because even though he has an incredibly fast race car, he crashed it on the second lap of qualifying. And as a result, he is going to have to start dead last on the field. For Newman to win, he just got to pass everybody.
Ryan Newman in that infamous 7NY battling in 2010 with Ted Christopher, and that was a fantastic battle that both of those guys displayed that day.
Well, both those guys are on the gas, and we're going to see more of that today for sure. Both of them are in this event today.
Ryan Newman climbing out in victory lane. He loves these modifieds. He's won 2 races here, 2 races in Thunder Valley at Bristol as well. Ryan Newman told me this may be the most fun race he drives all year long.
But the key to Newman is he's got to finish, Bob. He's had trouble finishing these races. Too many wrecks for Ryan Newman. He's already had one this weekend.
Feast or famine for Ryan Newman in the modifieds. Let's go to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Matt Yoakum.
Two-time champ Donnie Leah's Mystic Missile has been impressive every time on the racetrack this weekend, including scoring the pole by over 1/10 of a second. And Donnie, if you had a concern about today's race here in the Magic Mile, what would it be?
Like any week, staying out of trouble, and keeping up with the racetrack. This racetrack's going to change here throughout the day, and we have that halftime break there, and hopefully by then we got it all figured out, know what we need to do, and stay out of trouble and stay up front.
All right, good luck, Donnie Leah, trying for his 3rd win here on the Magic Mile, but it's going to be hard to beat that e-ticket victory here in 2009. Bob?
Absolutely. I still remember that race like it was yesterday. Check this out. As Donnie Leah in the number 4, Todd Szegedy goes way low, Doc, and tries to steal the win, but what happens coming off of 4?
Oh, they all get together is what happened coming off of 4. And look at this. Man, Szegedy almost got it upside down.
Szegedy almost into the fence here coming off of turn number 4. A fantastic finish, and that's what these modifieds are made of here at Loudon. Donnie Leah climbs out and does the jump into the Mystic Missile team's arms in victory lane. Coming into this race, we have 3 races to go to decide a champion here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And right now, it's down to a 3-horse race.
It really is. Doug Colby, who has dominated all year, he has led the points right from the very beginning. But the last 3 races have not gone his way, and as a result, Ryan Preece has closed up just 9 back, and Ronnie Silk, last year's champion, also with a shot at it. After that, probably not. But those 3 guys all have a good chance to be champion just 2 races after this one.
Look out for Ron Silk feel very good at some of the upcoming races on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. We're excited for this one. The drivers are buckled in, and we're getting ready to go green flag here at New Hampshire. We're in the land of lobsters and steamers today, but it's the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour at New Hampshire Motor Speedway that's satisfying your appetite. Let's take a look at the starting grid for the FW Webb 100 here, and we have a lot of guys starting up front that are very eager to get to victory lane here today. In fact, take a look, Donnie Leo, we mentioned him on the pole, but Mike Stefanik trying to make it 3 wins in 4 races here.
With a brand new race car, by the way. Stefanik's car using the same setup he used to win here earlier this year.
Taking a look a little further down the starting grid, Rowan Pennick starting 11th. He's one of those guys utilizing the NASCAR spec engine and somebody to watch today.
And he was second quick in practice. Didn't qualify as well as he practiced.
Cole Powell starting 19th. Matt Hirschman making his first Modified Tour start of the season here coming at New Hampshire. A little further down the grid, I'll tell you what, a big surprise from qualifying doc, Todd Szegedy, one of the best race car drivers here in the modifieds. He's starting deep in the field.
Yeah, he's got 4 straight top 5s here, 4 straight top 5s on the tour as well, but just a terrible qualifying run. He's got some cars to pass.
Wade Cole, a longtime modified competitor, and Johnny Bush out of Long Island round out the 31-car field today for this 100-lap race. Taking a look at the track description here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, we call this the Magic Mile. It's just over 1 mile in length, but Doc, this is a very flat racetrack.
It is, and that puts a real premium on chassis handling and driving. There are a lot of people who race here who say this is the most driver-intense speedway they run on.
And the one thing I like about the modifieds here, they use the old chrome horn for the bump track.
They will be all over each other. You're going to see wheels into wheels and bumpers into bumpers. Fun to watch.
Let's take a look at what this race is all about here today. 31 cars in the field, 100 laps the distance, and we will have a halfway break today at lap 50.
We will. That'll give them just 5 minutes to work on the cars, to adjust the cars, and then off we go for the last 50. Unless we have a green-white checker. We could have as many as 3 of those.
I tell you what, it's going to be a barn burner here today at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. For more, we go down trackside to Matt Yoakum.
And one guy that's going to put on a heck of a show starting at the back is Ryan Newman. He tagged the wall off turn 2 on his qualifying performance, and Newman told me his car is good, but he says the competition is so stiff here. It's very level as far as the playing field goes. He's going to have to pass a lot of cars to go from the back to the front, but he said, you know what, the one thing about coming here to New Hampshire, the fun factor is pegged, because you have drafting here. It's like old school racing, and Newman would love to add another modified trophy to his already massive trophy case. Guys?
And Ryan Newman will be starting near the rear of the field today, so it'll be fantastic to watch that 7NY come to the front of the field. You saw the shot of Ryan in the cockpit there. He is one of our 2 in-car cameras here for the modifieds at New Hampshire. The other belongs to the 7-time NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion, Mike Stefanik.
And he's going to have to pass some cars, too, because Stefanik is starting in the 10th position. So we're going to get some good in-car shots for you watching these modifieds go by some cars.
We have had a good time just talking about these modifieds, but guess what? Listen, the engines have fired here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We're about to get down to the nitty-gritty and get to some modified racing here in New England. You do not want to miss this one, because it'll be 100 laps of bumper tag action here at Loudon. We are in the Granite State of New Hampshire today for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour live on speed. It's the FW Webb 100, and we're about to go green flag racing. The cars have just rolled off the front stretch. They're moving back and forth, getting some heat in those tires.
And fortunately, the sun has just come out. Yesterday, all the practice was held in conditions very similar to what we have right now. It was cloudy, overcast this morning. That would have been a big change in what the drivers had faced over what they practiced. So this is good.
One of my favorite parts of this show, the Speed Spotlight, will kick things off with Matt Yoakum.
Bobby, 3 races remain with a title fight that has just turned absolutely upside down the past 3 races. It appeared that defending champ Doug Coby was in a championship runaway until Bristol broke a 9-race streak of top 3 finishes. And then Ryan Preece, he closed the gap from 41 to 9 markers. Every lap today, every point is so crucial. No mistakes as that duel. They're poised for another stellar matchup because they start 2nd and 4th.
Doc?
Well, I'm watching Teddy Christopher, quite frankly. He is driving car number 3, starting in the 5th position. Christopher has won more races here than any other driver in any division. 5 of them in the modifieds and 5 of them in the K&N cars, a total of 10. And Teddy is driving a car that admittedly is down on horsepower compared to the others. His strategy, drive that car deeper into the corner than anybody else and hope he can pick up the gas sooner than anybody else and not need the horsepower to pass coming off the corners. Teddy Christopher is exciting to watch at any time. He told me this morning, not worried about the points, he's just worried about winning this race.
And that car that Teddy Christopher is driving, we call it Old Blue. It's got a lot of heritage, a lot of history here in modified racing with the famed Bowler family. I want you to keep an eye on the driver of that 51 machine right there. 24 years old, part of the Long Island gang, which had drivers like Fred Harbach, Charlie Drzonbach, Bob Park, Steve Park, and a whole lot more. Well, he is the newest guy to come out of Long Island, and he is making a name for himself here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. He won just a few short weeks ago at Thompson International Speedway in Connecticut. He has finished 3rd here in this race 1 year ago. He had a tough break with a brand new race car in July, finished way back in 28th after he wrecked on the front stretch. But Justin Bonsignor, he's fast, always is up front, and he could be a major factor in today's race.
And he's not afraid of nothing.
No, absolutely not. Nobody from Long Island is afraid of anything. And think about this, Doc. It's interesting. We mentioned that we come here to the Magic Mile, 1 mile in length. Well, last week, we were at the shortest track on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, right there on Long Island, Riverhead Raceway, a quarter-mile bull ring.
And that's being generous with a quarter of a mile. It's a tight little racetrack. And that's one of the neat things about these drivers in these cars. They run on such a wide variety of racetracks that it just requires a tremendous amount of skill to win the championship. And that's what so many drivers started the year out hoping for. Now we get 3 with a shot.
And want to mention Ryan Newman. We told you he's going to the rear of the field. That was for an unapproved tire change. We mentioned the difficulty that he had in qualifying yesterday. And a lot has changed since Ryan Newman dominated these races here. He comes in now. The draft is going to play a major part here today. He said he doesn't have a car that can lead all the time, but he can make that pass on the last lap.
He's still got to watch out for the record. 8 career starts here, 2 wins, 3 crash DNFs, and an engine DNF. So he's got a lot of people to pass, but he's got to do it without damaging that car.
Here's something very interesting. We're about a half a lap until we go green. Matt Yoakum in our commercial break said it's really heating up. Turn 1 on the first lap might be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it'll probably be several cars wide.
Absolutely, 3 and 4 wide. And like we said, these chrome bumpers that they have on the front end of these modifieds, very high horsepower, low slung, wide tires. They use that chrome horn, that bumper, to push each other and go faster down the straightaways.
Donnie Leah, fastest in practice, a 2-time winner here, has chosen the outside of the front row for the start. Fastest in qualifying too. Leah, car number 4.
Doug Coby will start on the inside in that 52 car owned by Wayne Darling. A great season for them. We come down to the stripe and the green flag is out. Drivers stand on the gas, and Leah heading into turn number 1. They come off of turn number 2. Donnie Leah, a father of 2 now. Out front in the Mystic Missile. He's a 2-time champion in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. But here comes another one of the young guns, second in points in that 16 car, Ryan Preece.
And on the bottom, Teddy Christopher in the blue Bowler car.
Christopher always strong here at New Hampshire, a 10-time winner, the most decorated driver here at the Magic Mile. But right now they're getting strung out a little bit as they sort things out from 1st to about 10th. Single file, but a battle a little further back in the pack around that 10th spot. Here comes Eric Goodale right there in the number 58 machine. Another one of the Long Island drivers trying to make his way to the front. He's on the inside of Eric Burnt in that yellow car. But up front, a little bumper tag going down the straightaway. You see Mike Stefanik, that brand new race car, Doc, that you mentioned. He won that close race here in July. He wants another victory.
Yeah, he's won in each of the last 2 years, Stefanik has.
Look at the onboard shot there from Mike Stefanik. Mike Stefanik has won just about anything. In trouble for the 71 of Robbie Summers.
Robbie Fuller, sorry.
The 71 car slow on the racetrack, but back up front, they are glued to bumper. Going into turn number 1, Doug Coby and Ron Silk, those are 2 of 3 of the top guys in the point standings, and just in front of them, the 16 car pulling to the inside of Donnie Leah heading into turn 3. Take a look at that. Ryan Preece rockets to the front. Donnie Leah back, but here comes Silk in that 6 car who's been awfully strong here at New Hampshire.
In case you're wondering, this chase to a championship, nobody can possibly cruise. They are going to have to be on the gas all afternoon and manage to finish the race despite it. And there's Christopher again on the bottom, diving in hard, trying to pick up a spot.
Donnie Leah, he slingshots past Ryan Preece going into turn number 3, and he's bringing Doug Coby with him. Doug Coby says, you know what, I want the lead. He's trying to go to the inside of Donnie Leah, but can't do it. A little momentum change for Doug Coby coming off of turn 4. And see how that draft works, Doc. Doug Coby went for the lead. Now he went from 2nd all the way back to 5th in 1 straightaway.
Indeed. Leah's car owned by Bob Garbarino, one of the original pioneers of this kind of racing. He has been involved in it as a team owner since 1958. We've got a caution on the speedway.
We got a car in turn number 2 that
Rowan
is
Pennick.
slow.
That's Rowan Pennick.
Qualified 11th with that NASCAR spec engine, but he had some difficulty and wound up near the wall in turn number 2 to bring out the first caution of the day. Let's take a look at what happened.
Heavy traffic, just plain heavy traffic, and around Pennick goes.
Some contact there with Richie Pillai Jr. in that 39 machine as well. But folks, we got a lot more to come here at the Magic Mile. Just 6 laps of 100 complete here for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Today's speed is doubling down with 10 hours of live Barrett Jackson coverage from Las Vegas. See the most anticipated cars cross the block when live coverage continues today at 2 p.m. Eastern, right after the mod race, right here on Speed. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour on the racetrack. Ryan Newman, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver in this race. Matt Yoakum has more.
And Bob, Ryan Newman came on the radio right before that caution outside the top 20. Told Gary Putnam, his crew chief and car owner, that the car felt like he might have a left rear tire going down. They looked at the car several times by. They said the tire looks up. But one thing to keep in mind, the temperature continues to rise. Listening to a lot of different drivers reporting back, either their car extremely on the loose side or on the tight side. So the track has definitely changed.
Just want to mention Rowan Pennick, who brought out the first caution. He has rejoined the field at the rear of the field. Mike Christopher also on pit road during this caution break in the 82 car.
Indeed. It'll be interesting to see what happens as this weather increases in temperature as the afternoon goes on. Certainly it's going to upset some people. It's going to please others. We'll see who's happy.
Ryan Preece chooses the outside as your leader. Coming to the restart, Donnie Leah, a 2-time winner here at Loudon, is on the inside, and bumper tag going down into turn number 1 once again. They are side by side, 5, 6, 7 rows deep.
That entire outside lane was into the car in front. Every single driver was pushing the guy ahead of him.
Ryan Preece gets the run, but look at the run by the 6 of Ronnie Silk. Silk goes to the front with a slingshot maneuver going into turn 3.
And Silk is a 2-time winner here in that car with that engine. So he's got the combination that has had so much success here, but Preece on the bottom challenging.
Preece says, I don't like you going to the front, Ron Silk. I'm going to take it back. He does so, but watch the move by Ron Silk here. He pulls up to the back bumper of that 16 machine, and talk about a kid that has really turned things around. Ryan Preece challenging for the championship here. He's one of the young guns we're expecting good things from here out of the modifieds.
Oh, and he's had a tremendous year racing on the local short tracks. He seems to win almost every week in a variety of rides. It doesn't seem to matter what kind of a track he's racing on. Preece is fast.
Got a battle there. The 76 car is Jimmy Blewett out of New Jersey. Right now, Jimmy Blewett running in the 6th spot, but you can see Ted Christopher involved there. Christopher falling back a little bit. The 64 car of Ron Uhas going to his outside now. Ron Uhas had a great run here in July, finished in the top 5, so Uhas looking good there, but Teddy Christopher, problems for him.
Yeah, he's just not been able to hang on. He's trying to run that bottom with the weak engine, and it has not worked for him so far. Here's your leader again.
Back to the front, Ryan Preece on the inside. Ron Silk trying to make it on the outside, cannot do it, and Donnie Leah is just sitting and watching a race in front of him right now.
Yeah, he is, and he is pretty well surrounded by people. He is surrounded by people who are in the points chase. Leah is not in it for the championship this year, but those other 3 drivers all are.
Doug Coby had a stellar run here in July, finished in the top 5. He's hanging tough there in the 4th spot. Now it looks like Donnie Leah may be hung out to dry on that inside as he fights and claws his way back on the inside of Silk.
Yeah, inside has not been the place to be so far today.
Matt, what's going on with Donnie Leah?
And he's just moving that 4-car around, trying to find a little bit better line. We talked about how the temperature continues to rise, and Leah was reporting his car just tight. So he's moving around the outside, inside, just trying to find a better line for that 4-car.
Donnie Leah told us yesterday this is the best race car he's ever had here at the Magic Mile, and that's saying something coming from a 2-time winner at this track.
Another lead change.
Absolutely. We're going to keep track of them because there are going to be a ton here. Ron Silk back to the front in that 6th car. There's the bumper tag, the bump draft here. Ryan Preece shoving the 6th car of Ron Silk. What does that do for the top 2 guys there when they get hooked up like that?
Well, when they get hooked up like that, chances are they're going to be able to pick up some distance on whoever is behind them, unless whoever's behind them also has his front bumper into it. And then, who knows?
Preece back to the front. That's the 6th lead change already, and we're just 15 laps into this race. So Preece back to the front. We're watching a dynamic duel between those 2 guys, and here comes Donnie Leah as well, poking his nose to the inside of Silk.
We had 17 lead changes here when the modifieds raced in July. I think we're going to have more than that this afternoon.
We're going to catch our breath here as we see the 76 of Jimmy Blewett try to come to the front here and crack into the top 5. You don't want to go anywhere because this is only getting started. Another possible lead change as we come back to speed. Ron Silk to the inside of Ryan Preece. Preece coming back up to his back bumper. Doug Coby there. And guess what? Here comes that 24-year-old Justin Bonsignor in the 51 car. He is scratching and clawing his way to the front right now. He's cracked into the top 5. Your top 5 as we run 17 laps in the books here. Silk, Preece, Leah, Coby, and Bonsignor. Mike Stefanik in a brand new race car back in 6th, and another Long Islander, Eric Goodale, in that 7th spot.
Now, Bobby, you just got the top 5 wrong because there's another lead change.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not scored until we get to the line, but look at Ryan Preece. This is exciting, folks. Donnie Leah, he's got that tight race car that Matt Yoakum just reported. And the problem is he can dive to the inside, but it's very hard to keep that momentum coming off the corner with a tight race car.
Well, he also has the opportunity to adjust that car at the 50-lap mark. It's the view from Stefanik's car, Mike Stefanik.
Mike Stefanik with that brand new race car. We've had 9 lead changes. He is battling with the 07 of Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling trying to go to the inside. That's a fantastic view heading down the straightaway here at Loudon.
Stefanik and his team struggled with that brand new race car that they had brought here. They tried a bunch of different things. Nothing seemed to work out, so they went back to the exact same setup that they used to win here in July, and it seems to have been a good decision.
Another lead change. Donnie Leah back to the front. He was your early race leader with Ryan Preece, just 21 years old.
What a future that kid's got.
He does. He drives just about anything. You midgets, SK modifieds, street stock, late models, you name it. Ryan Preece is a racer, and he will drive it.
Now note that when we get into the corners, all of these guys back off the front bumper. They don't want to be pushing the guy in front of them through the turn, but as soon as they get into the straightaway, the bumper is out there, and there goes Ryan Preece into the lead. Or is he?
Donnie Leah trying to fight back on the outside right now and might get the momentum as they come to the line here. Leah back out front, and there's that draft once again coming into effect here. Ryan Preece back to 4th. Eric Goodale now in the top 5 in that 58 car. Goodale having a great run here. He loves coming to the Magic Mile, this high horsepower racetrack. These guys do run with restrictor plates around this racetrack. And I tell you what, right now, Eric Goodale from Riverhead, Long Island, doing a great job as he goes to the inside, trying to actually, here comes Justin Bonsignor to the inside of the 16 car of Ryan Preece.
A little surprised to see Goodale doing this well on this big a racetrack. Last weekend at Riverhead, he had a good run, led 35 laps, and finished a season high of 7th there.
I want to mention Ryan Newman watching his march to the front from the rear of the field after an unapproved tire change. He is already up to the 13th spot, Matt Yoakum. He's right behind Eric Beers. Eric Beers had a sensational run here in July as well. He finished 4th.
I want to explain that unapproved tire change, what that was all about. Newman had qualified on the first lap of 2. You have to start the race on the same tires that you qualify on. But when he spun and crashed, it flat spotted the tires, so he had to change the tires. That's a rule violation to change your tires. That is what put Newman in the back of the pack. More
lead changes up front. An unbelievable battle right now between Leah, Silk, and Doug Coby. And Doug Coby, since coming into this Wayne Darling-owned team late last year, they have really turned the tide for this team. A fantastic run since late last year.
Yeah, and late last year at Thompson Speedway is where it really showed. The UNOH Perfect Storm event, in which Coby won 2 races on the same day in that car. That was the first time that we really saw the smoke and the fire that has come out of that team. And so far this year, he has had a fantastic year.
Ted Christopher and Jimmy Blewett, 2 of the toughest competitors duking it out. But here comes Doug Coby. Look, he slides his nose up in front of Donnie Leah. That car just a little bit tight coming off of turn number 4 as well. But score the lead for Doug Coby. That's the 13th lead change in this race.
And let me tell you how bad Coby wants to win this championship. The only championships he has ever won have been in divisions lower than the modifieds. Pro Stock and in the late models, both those championships at Stafford. He has never won a Tour Series championship. This would be the biggest moment of his entire life should he win this championship.
You know, we talked about Ted Christopher too, and Old Blue number 3. He's fallen back to the 10th spot right now. So TC having a little difficulty here as the front 3 cars nose to tail going into turn number 1. But look at the battle right behind them as well.
I'm amazed we haven't had more than 1 spin so far. As close as these guys are running to each other, and as close as they are running into each other.
Back to the front, another lead change. Doug Coby and Donnie Leah really doing the battle here. Ron Silk just riding behind, watching those 2 swap the lead time and time again here at the Magic Mile. Silk getting some momentum on the straightaway, but cannot duck underneath Leah going into 1.
And Priest is staying right in there. He is in the 4th spot right now. That's what they need to do. All those guys with the strong cars, just keep that lead car in sight. Or pass it. It's even better.
Look at Coby there trying to break the draft a little bit on Donnie Leah, but not to his avail. Doug Coby loses the lead to Donnie Leah once again. We got battles all over the racetrack here. Now 30 laps complete, 70 to go here in the FW Webb 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Donnie Leah out front in the Mystic Missile number 4, the FW Webb 100 live on speed from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Doug Coby is 2nd, Ron Silk is 3rd, Ryan Priest 4th, and Eric Goodale, a big surprise up front in the top 5.
Boy, he is running so well. This is clearly the best run Goodale has ever had at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Goodale up to the 4th spot now. He goes past the 16 of Ryan Priest and now digging hard to the inside of the 6 of Silk. I'll tell you what, one guy that we talked about at the beginning of our show, a big surprise, qualified way back in the 21st spot. That man right there, Todd Szegedy. He's trying to march his way to the front, but he's only gained 4 spots so far. He runs 17th. That's a big surprise.
Yeah, he was one of the very first cars to get on the speedway to do his time trial. Different kind of rubber was on the track than these guys are running. That was part of the problem.
Trouble for Mike Stefanik. Some smoke coming from that brand new machine. Mike Stefanik looks like he might not be under power of all 8 cylinders here at Loudon.
On his way into the pits.
Mike Stefanik was running 6th. He had won 2 of the last 3 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour events coming into this race. So a bad break for mighty Mike Stefanik, the 7-time Whelen Modified Tour champion.
And an 8-time winner at this speedway, but it looks like it's all done for him. Here's where the action's heating up, though, right at the front of the pack.
Patrick Emmerling, he's made his way from the 18th starting spot. He is now in the top 5 in that 07 machine. Up front, Donnie Leah at the head of this field. Doug Coby, now a little bit of a gap between those two, and third place running Ron Silk. That won't stay that way.
No, it sure won't. And we're starting to see some lap cars getting in the way as well, and that will help produce a gap like that.
I want to mention there's an orange and black car right in the middle of that pack as well. Number 79, Woody Pitkat, making his first tour start in that car this year. He finished top 5 in this race last year, and that's a reuniting of sorts with that Hillbilly Racing team.
Yeah, and Pitkat, very well known as a local level racer. He does tremendously well on the half miles. Not a lot of experience on this big racetrack.
A multi-time champion in late models in the SK Modified division at Stafford Speedway in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Woody Pitkat, a guy that can get the job done time in, time out. By the way, 16 lead changes so far here today. The record for most lead changes back in 2000, 30 times. I don't know. We may see. We're not even to the halfway point here today.
Yeah. Now let's see where we are. We're on lap 35 and it's 16 lead changes. That's a lead change every other lap.
Oh, and by the way, there we go. Exactly. Doug Coby going to the inside, but can he make the move stick? Donnie Leah keeps up that momentum coming off of turn number 4, and take a look at this. At the line, Leah leads. Woody Pitkat, by the way, started 22nd, and he's running 7th right now in that 79 machine.
And the front pack is tightened up.
You knew that wasn't going to last, that little gap that those top 2 guys got there. You just can't do it with the way the aerodynamics are at this mile racetrack with these race cars.
Absolutely, yes.
Rowan Pennick, who spun earlier to bring out the first caution of the day, he's back up to the 9th spot in his 93 car. And Ryan Newman in the 11th spot, trying to crack into the top 10. Matt Yoakum, you've caught up with Mike Stefanik.
And they pulled that 66 machine behind the wall. Mike, any idea what's wrong with the motor?
Yeah, not good things wrong with the motor. You see the oil temperature come all the way around here. With the water is 180, and I didn't feel anything going wrong. And then all of a sudden it just started stumbling, and I pulled out of line, and it was smoke. And I just feel bad for Robert BR, Eddie Marceau, and Cannon Sons Paving. Bought a brand new car here. We didn't bring back the car we won the race with, and we were a little tight. I mean, we were struggling a little bit. The guys would have fixed it up on the stop. Brad LaFontaine, Northeast Race Cars. He would have tuned right on it. We would have been good, but not today.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Love that camera angle used there, the in-car camera for Matt Yoakum to interview Mike Stefanik after he pulls out of this race. But back up front, Donnie Leah is still your leader with Doug Coby in second. And look who's back to third, the 16 car of Ryan Preece, second in points coming into here. And like we said, he's gained a ton in the last 3 races. He was the winner 1 week ago at Riverhead. 40 laps complete. We just got 10 to go until the halftime break here during the FW Webb 100. 5 minutes to fix your race cars and then go for the dash for cash at the end of this one. You're on board with NASCAR Sprint Cup Series competitor Ryan Newman, battling with Rowan Pennick right there, and that's a battle in the top 10. Newman started at the rear of this field. He is now up to 9th.
And Pennick spun earlier in the race, so he has had to pass a lot of cars as well.
Now, Pennick, as we mentioned, running one of those NASCAR spec engines, and they have a different restrictor plate than a lot of these built motors and so forth, and this has been a big topic of discussion. NASCAR trying to save these guys some money by allowing them to run a spec engine, which is considerably less money than some of these full-blown engines that we see.
It's a lot less money, but it's also a lot less labor. You don't have to rebuild the thing quite as often either. Matt?
Ryan Newman's climbed up to the 9th position. We're closing in on that halftime break, and Newman's looking forward to making some slight adjustments to that 7NY car, because he says in traffic, the closer he gets to the front, the better it is. But as he goes up to 8th now, the car just way too on the free side.
Ryan Newman up to the 8th spot right now. Great views on board with that 7NY car, but up front it's Donnie Leah. Woody Pitkat still marching his way through the field. He puts the 73 of Cole Powell a lap down, but Pitkat He is coming on strong. First race this year. I'll tell you what, this kid has got something going here today in that race car. He's got something to prove because he used to be in this car full time. And I'll tell you what, he's looking good here today. This is his 62nd NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour start.
Having a good run for himself. He really is. Ronnie Silk, the plumber, right in front of him. Most of these guys have a full-time job of some sort, a job that lets them take Fridays off and Sundays off and Mondays off. And Silk is a plumber when he's not driving a race car. Imagine having him come in and fix your sink.
Oh, boy. Look out. Some horsepower right there.
He do it fast, too.
Pit Cat, he was the runner-up here last year in the Modified Tour race in that 79 machine. Look at that. Glued to Ron Silk's back bumper. Right now, that is the battle for 5th and 4th on the racetrack. Ryan Newman up to 8th now. Newman climbing through the field as we continue to watch this battle between Silk, Pit Cat, and Butt. Here we go. The guy on the move, Patrick Emmerling, last year's Rookie of the Year in the Modified Division. The 07 coming to the front. He's going to be your new leader.
Wow, what a run he's having. He's the youngest driver in the field today. He just turned 20 years old on Wednesday. He started at the 18th spot. And look at him. He's leading this thing.
Emmerling had trouble in qualifying yesterday. His time up front, short-lived though. Here comes Donnie Leah once again, but Emmerling led at the stripe. So Emmerling looking very strong in that 07 car, and another surprise that we're seeing in the early part of this race. Just 3 laps to go until we get to the halfway break.
Yeah, indeed. And if Emmerling were to win it, he would be the youngest ever to win here. Chuck Hausfeld at age 25 holds the record.
Donnie Leah, 2-time winner here at Loudon. He's up front. Emmerling is second. Doug Kobe, your point leader, in 4th. Second is 3rd. Ryan Preece, who's second in points, is 4th right now. And Ron Still kind of resting a little bit before the halfway break. Just 2 laps to go until we get there. He rounds out the top 5.
And as we look at that halfway break that's on its way to us, the 4 car, Donnie Leah, has been the strongest driver, strongest car in the field so far.
You got to wonder, Doc, what these guys were doing during the first part of this race. Just 1 to go until we get to that halfway break. Donnie Leah has looked really strong, but I wonder if anybody has been saving anything and not showing their full deck of cards.
I think racing the way they have been racing up at the front of this pack, you can't be saving anything. You're running as hard as you can run, but what they certainly have been doing is trying different lines around the racetrack, seeing how the car behaves when you try to pass on the outside, when you try to pass on the bottom, seeing how it feels when somebody's front bumper is into your back bumper. A lot of learning went on in the first 50 laps. We're about to have a chance for the crews to adjust the cars, hopefully make them better, and some will make them worse. You can count on that.
And you can see where your favorite driver is running on the upper part of the screen. Just to mention, we mentioned Justin Bonsignor up in the top 5 earlier. He's back to 13th. Todd Zegedy gaining a couple more spots. He's up to 14th right now as we continue to watch the battle between the top 2 point guys, the 52 of Doug Kobe as well as the 16 of Ryan Preece. Here comes Newman to the inside of Eric Goodale coming off a 4, but Goodale, another guy with a great run in that 58 car.
And to get where he is right now, Newman had to make up an awful lot of ground. He was way back, a lot of distance between himself and the front runners. So Newman has got a very strong horse.
Newman said he cannot run up front, is what he told me yesterday. Can't run there all by himself. But you know what? Honestly, in a modified with the draft and how it plays out here, nobody can. He says he's got a good car to make that last lap pass if he can get there. And then here is the halfway break caution. During the FW Webb 100, Donnie Leah will lead at the stripe coming into the halfway break. A great shot of Ryan Newman on board his 7NY machine. 18 lead changes so far. So far, exactly. We still got 50 laps to go here. It's going to be exciting. We'll see what these guys do when their cars come down to pit road. They have 5 minutes to make changes to try to go for the victory here today for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour at the Magic Mile. Halfway break in the FW Webb 100 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Donnie Leah has led at the break. He's a 2-time winner here at the Magic Mile, and now these guys get to make adjustments to make their car even better for the final part of this race.
And 4 fresh tires. That's all they're allowed. They can't make another pit stop. 4 tires if they put 4 on now.
Matt Yoakum, what's going on?
And they are just finishing putting on some Hoosiers on the 4 car of Donnie Leah. putting that left rear on. Donnie pretty much top three most of it. Donnie, how's the car?
It's good. We got a little freed up there halfway through that run and helped us. But might make an adjustment here. I mean, overall good. Could be a little bit better. A little tight in the center, a little free, not the side grip off the corner. So, but able to maintain, able to stay out front. So, pretty good. But we're going to work on it.
Is a driver ever satisfied, Doc? Even if you're leading the race?
I don't think so. You can be 5 laps ahead of everybody else, and there's something wrong with the car that you can fix to make it go faster. Especially Leah. I mean, he just can't possibly go fast enough. He just wants to go faster all the time.
That car has always had the big power underneath the hood. Patrick Emmerling, a big surprise, started 18th. He's up to 2nd here at the halfway break. And this guy, this kid, is looking to make a name for himself here in the modifieds. His best career finish, 5th at Bristol last year. So he's never even finished where he's running right now. So Emmerling's got a shot possibly at the end of this race.
Yeah, and this is the right kind of place to showcase it as well. I mean, on national television and in front of all the Cup team owners to show you've got the ability to run with the rest of these veterans. Emmerling is just having a big day for himself.
Ryan Preece having a big day as well. He had a big day 1 week ago at Riverhead. He pulled into victory lane there. He has closed the gap on point leader Doug Coby, and he's running strong here as well. Speaking of Doug Coby, Matt Yoakum.
Sitting quietly in his 52 machine. And Doug, has the racetrack changed a lot from where it was yesterday?
I don't think so. It's pretty good out there. There's a lot of grip. I was a little snug behind the 4-car there, and once the 07 got by, I got a little loose, so we're trying to play around a little bit with the package here to work better around other cars. But this 52 machine's really stout today. I'm really happy to be running up front. We've had a few bad races in a row, and the track's great out there. There's going to be a lot of action here the last 50 laps, so I hope everybody's ready.
And he talked about the trying to score some good points. The past 3 races, his average finish was 17th after that great string of 9 straight races of top 3 or better, guys.
Matt Yoakum's got his running shoes on down there today on pit road during this halfway break. We enjoy the reports. Ron Silk right there. He's been up front the entire race, now running in the 5th spot. So Ron Silk, the defending winner of this race, and he's finished in the top 5 in 7 of the last 8 races here at New Hampshire. He's pretty good at this joint. So is that guy right here, the runner-up last year in this race, Woody Pitcat. Back with the Hillbilly Racing team with the 79 car there, and he's having a very good run here today. He, too, is running in the top 10, currently 6th.
Well, Pitcat doesn't get much of an opportunity to run this tour deal. He runs on the local racetracks, and he goes for track championships, but he certainly has shown that he has the ability not only to run with these people, but to win on the tour, which so far he has never done.
Eric Goodale is running in the 7th spot. We mentioned him in that 58 car. I was just told that Matt Hirschman, who's running in the field here today, has kind of been working with Eric Goodale to get that team back on track and doing well here today. Ryan Newman in the 7 car. Newman started at the rear of the field, and Newman has been steadily coming back to the front. And Newman is a factor before the end of this race, I can guarantee you that.
Indeed. The reason we're doing this pit stop the way we're doing it, rather than a live pit stop during the race, is to try to save the team some money. What was happening was a few of the teams that were very wealthy were going over to the Cup garage or the Nationwide garage, whatever it might have been that was running a companion event, and hiring expensive tire changers, jackmen, fuel men, and so forth. This saves the teams a lot of money, especially for a guy like this, Mike Christopher, who really runs out of his own wallet. He doesn't really have sponsors helping him out, and he needs help with a thing like this. So you don't want to have the live pit stop. This is the smart way to do it. It's the best way to do it.
Mike Christopher running 27th. He is a lap down. They were talking the tires on that 82 machine, and he is the twin brother of Ted Christopher.
Yeah, but what I really like is look at the nose of the car, Northeast Motorsports Museum, and that's going to be built
I've
right
heard
here.
Something about that. That's going to be a pretty good joint honoring all the racing here in the Northeast, and my buddy here, Dr. Dick Bergeron, has a lot to do with that. But we have a lot to go here at Loudon, including the final half of this race. We are on track to break all records here today at Loudon. Sunny skies over New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The Nascar Whelen Modified Tour duking it out on the Magic Mile. We still have one half of this race still to go, but here's what's happened so far in this FW Webb 100. Ryan Newman, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver, he had to go to the rear of the field, Doc, because of an unapproved tire change.
And he has motored on, passing car after car. He's now in the 8th position for this restart.
Newman marching his way through the field past Rowan Pennick right there in the 93. And then on lap 5, Pennick, trouble for him. He spins around, gets a little bit of Richie Polai Jr. right there. And then on lap 32, trouble for Mike Stefanik.
His 4th DNF of the year. Stefanik loses an engine.
Frustration from Mike Stefanik. Had won 2 of the last 3 races here. And we've seen some unbelievable racing so far, like this, between point leader Doug Coby and Donnie Leah.
We are averaging a change of leader every other lap.
18 lead changes so far, and a big surprise, that 07 car of Patrick Emmerling duking it out with the guys up front.
Emmerling, the youngster.
We're back live. Like I said, sunny skies overhead here today. 64 degrees the current temperature, and we're about to go green flag racing once again. You ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready because it's as good as it's been so far. It's about to get a whole bit better for sure. Leo takes the outside again. Every restart, every opportunity, the outside has been the preferred lane.
He gets that momentum. That momentum stays with the Mystic Missile number 4 on the outside groove. We got a lot of fans here today in attendance at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We saw the shot just a minute ago. A bunch of fans up on that backstretch here as we come out of turn number 4, about to take the green flag.
Ready? Ready?
You're the spotter. Green
Here we
flag
go.
in the air once again. Look at Donnie Leah. He mashes the gas and gets a great restart, pulling Doug Coby with him into turn 1.
Emmerling just did not get going on that restart.
Doug Coby had a best finish ever here in July of 3rd at this racetrack, currently running 2nd, but the battle is right there. Patrick Emmerling just did not get up to speed as quick as he needed to. Right now, Teddy Christopher on the outside of him.
And Pennick in that black number 93 went completely below the yellow line, which you can legally do here to make it 3 deep and pass cars.
Hey, let's mention Bobby Santos III. He is in the 44 machine, a former champion of this series, currently running 6th after the restart.
And he's another one who started deep in the field. They just could not seem to get that car to handle during practice. He started 17th, but they've got it squared away now.
And speaking of another guy that started deep in the field, right behind Santos there in the 2 machine, Todd Zegedy, a former winner here and a former champion of this series in his own right. He's coming to the front as well. Right now, it's time to go, guys. These Mod Squad guys are going for broke.
Bunch of new characters toward the front, aren't there? I mean, some people we have not seen in the top 10 all day long are there and capable of challenging for the win.
The scramble is on. Look at Ron Silk. Trouble for
Yes.
Bobby Santos III. He slows on the inside.
Something's happened to that 44 car. He's shaking back and forth as if he's out of fuel. Is that possible?
Santos slows. He's going to come to pit road, but the battle's still up front. Take a look at those two. They have been the best of the class so far today. Leah and Doug Coby. Running 3rd now is Ted Christopher with Ryan Newman in 4th. 2 distinctively different battles, but dynamite battles on the racetrack.
And 2 different ways of driving the racetrack as well. Coby in the 52 car. His attitude is there's never an excuse to crash a car. Never take the car beyond its limits. Meanwhile, Leah goes as fast as he possibly can every lap.
I'll tell you what, got a battle brewing between Newman and Ted Christopher. Matt Yoakum has more.
And talking to Gary Putnam right before the cars went back out, Bob, to restart, Gary said, and we reported earlier, that Newman said his car was on the free side back in traffic. The good news, though, unlike yesterday during practice and qualifying, he has great forward bite on exit of the corner, so that's the great news. Small tweaks for Newman in the 3 car, Old Blue. Christopher said his car was also on the free side right before that halftime break.
I don't think Christopher minds the car being loose. I mean, he relishes driving with the tail end hung out.
We got 39 laps to go. And right there, Ryan Newman just shoving Old Blue into turn number 3. He's giving him a little extra horsepower that Teddy Christopher said he needed.
Yeah, I don't think Teddy minds that at all. And watch, as soon as they get into the straightaway, Newman's front bumper will be in Christopher's back bumper and push him all the way down the front chute.
And this is exactly what Newman said he was good at. That car wasn't good at leading. The car was good in the drag and pushing. So right now he's working with Ted Christopher, one of the best ever here at the Magic Mile. 5 wins at New Hampshire for TC, and back up front, Doug Coby to the lead.
Coby charging for a championship. That's really what's on his mind. It'd be fabulous to win this race, particularly since his best finish ever here so far had been 3rd. You're going to get a chance to see the pass for the lead again. Whoa! Boy, did Coby show some muscle on that one.
I'll tell you what, we're seeing those passes in turn 3 like none before here at the Magic Mile. And it seems like that's the best spot at the racetrack for these guys to pull off those passes, even better than the wide front stretch down here into turn number 1.
Bobby Santos back on pit road again. His day is done.
Matt Hirschman, in his first tour start of the season in that 50 machine, is cracked the top 10. He is up to 9th. So Hirschman having a good run, but so are those 2 guys at the front of this field, Doug Coby and Donnie Leah. I'm wondering, though, here comes Ted Christopher. Here comes Ryan Newman. And Ryan Preece charging to the outside of Ryan Newman. I'm sure those guys will be collecting those leaders in just a lap or 2.
Yeah, and Silk is right in there as well with that white number 6. Last year's champion. Newman now on the bottom, getting by Silk and looking for more.
Matt Yoakum, what's going on with Bobby Santos?
And a disappointing end of the day for Bobby Santos the 3rd. He's taking the car back to the garage area. Something amiss in the right front. They're not exactly sure what it is. He says it doesn't feel right. Not wanting to take a chance. He's pulled it behind the wall.
Some anxious moments for the 44 car and everybody that was running around him just a few moments ago here. 66 laps in the books, but here's what happened, Doc.
You see Santos at the bottom of the racetrack, right in the middle of your screen. Now he's up.
Something broke in that right front. You can tell that's why that car just went up into the 3rd and 4th groove coming off the corner.
Watch this. Look at this. All these people trying to get around him all at one time.
Wow. Anxious moments for Ron Silk and Todd Szegedy in the 6th and the 2 respectively. But look at this, just as we mentioned, all the guys back up front. The leaders don't have that gap between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd now. Now they're all strung together and duking it out once again. Doug Coby is your leader. Donnie Leah in 2nd. And look at the move, a power move by Ron Silk. He is not to be counted out here today at New Hampshire. 67 laps complete for the Nascar Whelen Modified Tour. We like to call them the Mighty Modifieds around the Magic Mile. Doug Coby is your leader, but we have a bunch of guys, including the driver of the yellow 7NY car, Ryan Newman, trying to go after the victory here today. Newman currently running in the 7th spot.
He has gotten into the top 10 just fine. He doesn't seem to have a lot of trouble to have arrived there, but now that he's in the top 10, passing has become much more difficult for Newman.
Newman trying to go underneath the 07 of Patrick Emmerling. Emmerling showing his strength early on here today at the halfway break. He was running 2nd. He slipped just a little bit here, and now back to the lead. Another lead change. Leah back to the front, a 2-time winner here at New Hampshire, going for the hat trick of sorts.
Well, after all the adjustments, I don't see anybody who is significantly superior to anybody else, at least not so far.
With 30 laps to go, we have 20 lead changes so far. That's 10 short of the record and still 30 laps to go. Ted Christopher currently running in 3rd. He has 42 career wins. He won the championship back in 2008, and that team he is running for knows a thing or two about modified racing.
Yeah, Christopher's out of it for the championship in the Tour, but Stafford Speedway has one more race to go, and he is going to win his 8th championship at Stafford because all he has to do is start that race. He'll pick up enough points to do it.
Hey, Teddy Christopher, we don't normally see Ted Christopher with a goose egg in the win column. He has won at least once in the last 13 seasons but he doesn't have a single victory so far this year. He's driven a bunch of race cars, though.
Not so far.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the third car that Teddy has driven this year. In fact, the last ride he had in his regular mount was here at New Hampshire. The team collapsed, fell apart, stopped racing. He picked up a one-shot ride for the next event. He's been in the Boulder number 3 ever since.
Well, falling back is Ryan Newman. We just mentioned him. He was running 4th, and Newman now back to the 7th spot. Here comes terrible Teddy Christopher on the inside. A 3-wide battle for the lead here. This is going to get good. We're going to come back on speed in just a moment, because you are not going to want to miss the conclusion of the FW Webb 100 at New Hampshire. Tomorrow, race day delivers the ultimate setup for round 2 of the championship battle. Our experts tell you if Keselowski and Johnson are on a collision course for the Cup. And we'll take you inside the chase like never before with Michael Waltrip Racing All Access. NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco. Tomorrow at 11 Eastern, only on Speed. Up front, another lead change. Doug Coby to the inside of Donnie Leah, the Mod Squad here at New Hampshire. This is what we see time and time again here. A swapping of the lead. Ted Christopher, you know that determined race car driver wants to get to the front. He's trying a move to the inside of Leah, but can't get it done just yet.
Most of the passes today have been on the inside. The deal is come off the corner, go wide, get a good run off it, then drop down low and get a start on the pass going into the corner. Get beside the guy you're trying to get past, and then coming out, use the engine to complete the pass.
Putting the 68 of Johnny Bush down a lap right now. Doc, we have 25 laps to go. When are guys going to think about let's go for broke?
Right now. Right now, for sure. Yeah, here goes Christopher on the bottom. Does not have Leah cleared. There he goes. That's the best he's had so far today. Christopher up to second. He's not been that far to the front so far until right now.
Said he was lacking a little horsepower here. Are these guys trying to figure stuff out? Because we know this race is going to come down to the very last lap.
Well, what Teddy Christopher does not lack is bravery. I mean, he will just drive that car into the turn 5-10 lengths deeper than anybody he's trying to get by.
And here comes Patrick Emmerling in that 07 car. He's marching his way back to the front as well. Emmerling very strong in that 07 modified. He actually goes past Rowan Pennick, who spun earlier to bring out the first caution. Pennick running in 6th.
Lead change.
Man, Ted Christopher wants a victory. He does not want the drought to continue. TC to the front in all blue.
Now, he did win in this car at Thompson Speedway. They had a special north-south race there a couple of weeks ago, and Teddy won it, taking home over $15,000 in the process.
And that was an all-star event after the Northern Modifieds, the Whelen Modified Tour, and the Southern boys had their points races. But a non-points show, Ted Christopher to the front. That's to be expected. To the front here today at the Magic Mile. That's to be expected as well.
It's one thing to get there. It's quite another thing to stay there.
Oh,
wow.
Contact between the 79 of Woody Pitkat, and I believe that was the second place point man, the 16 of Ryan Preece.
Newman right in the middle of all that, too.
That was scary coming off of turn number 4. Let's take a look at the replay to see exactly what happened here. Watch the orange car on the outside. That's Woody Pitkat and Ryan Preece. Pitkat just gets loose.
Yeah, and he also got into the 76 of Jimmy Blewett.
79 of Woody Pitkat was running 7th at the time. He has lost a couple of spots. Ryan Newman now holding that 10th position. Up front, Teddy Christopher's got the lead, but look who wants it. Here comes Doug Coby applying the bumper to the back of the number 3 machine. This is going to get interesting. Just flat out pure racing today for the mighty modifieds at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Only 2 cautions so far. The record for fewest, 3. That's because these guys are battling on the racetrack and keeping the racing clean.
Coby has tried to pass Christopher several times on the bottom and has been unable to do it. There goes the bumper into the back of Christopher's car in the middle of the corner.
Is there ever a moment you look at a guy like Donnie Leah running 3rd right now in that yellow number 4 machine? He led. He has shown his strength. Is he saving himself, saving his tires at all?
Well, he might be thinking about that race he won where everybody in front of him crashed too. And that certainly is a possibility.
That was a race where Donnie Leah led going into turn number 3, and then Szegedy and Christopher shot by him. Szegedy wound up in the fence, and Donnie Leah wound up in victory lane.
Yeah, some wrecked cars in that one for sure.
Ron Silk there in 4th right now. So Silk, a 2-time winner here at Loudon, just like Donnie Leah. He is a guy that flexes his muscle when it counts, and that's late in the race.
Christopher has held that lead for a surprising number of laps. He's got this thing figured out, how to stay in the front once he gets there. So far.
5th place, Patrick Emmerling battling with the 93 of Rowan Pennick. Just behind that, you can see 3 groups of 2 cars. Like I said, we've seen these gaps time and time again, but that will vanish very quickly once these guys get nose to tail and start the bump draft once again here at New Hampshire.
Yep, indeed.
Here comes Kobe to the inside of Christopher. He's tried this move on a couple of occasions, as Doc said, but hasn't been able to pull it off. Looks like he's going to make it work this time around.
And that gave an opportunity for Leah and Silk to close up a little bit on those 2 lead cars. Silk, meanwhile, on the bottom.
Here comes Ron Silk trying the inside of Donnie Leah for all you Ryan Newman fans. How about this, Doc? He's back to 14th now.
Wow. Ryan's not going to win today.
No, not Newman having some trouble with just 16 laps to go. I like the strength of that 4 car. Got to wonder what that car is doing. He said it was very tight early on, and now he's riding in 3rd, trying to close in on the back bumper of 2nd place running Ted Christopher.
Back at Bristol in that same number 4 car, Leah had been incredibly quick until his time trial. Spun the car, wound up hammering the wall, absolutely demolishing the entire nose of it. They put a new clip on it, all new front suspension underneath that car. This is the first race back. I'd say Troyer did a good job.
It's the calm before the storm right now. I can guarantee you that. Just 15 laps to go. The FWM 100 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and we got a car on the wall. It's Jimmy Blewett in the wall in that famous red, white, and blue modified. His dad was a champion at Riverhead Raceway and Islip Speedway and so many racetracks around the New Jersey area.
And his grandpa, 82 years old, sitting in the grandstand, was sure cheering for Jimmy until that happened.
Left front suspension damage and a flat tire on that machine. Jimmy Blewett, I tell you what, he looks stealth-like. He's lost 78 pounds this year. He's been working out a bunch.
Yeah, he looks like you, stealth-like.
Let's take a look at what happened to Jimmy Blewett on the racetrack. Trouble for him. Looks like he just got loose and backed her in the wall.
Yeah, that's where the real damage came from, when it came around one more time and caught that left front wheel in the wall.
Jimmy Blewett was running 7th at the time. Like I said, the calm before the storm. Trust me, this one is going to get awfully interesting here at the Magic Mile. Next Saturday, the Truck Series Championship battle moves to Vegas. At this track, drivers like to gamble because in this town, you make your own luck. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Las Vegas next Saturday at 8 p.m. on Speed. A lot of cars on pit road late in this race. Just 12 laps to go. Among them, Ryan Newman, 2nd place point man Ryan Preece, and a former winner here, Todd Szegedy.
And they have got a lot of work to do and not very much time in which to do it. Chances to win for any of the people who have pitted on this caution flag, virtually 0.
We like to call that kid the Granite State Rocker. He's from New Hampshire, the 70 machine of Andy Seiss. Looks like he's having some trouble underneath the hood on that car. He's been on pit road for quite a number of laps. Out front, Doug Kobe. Ted Christopher is 2nd. Donnie Leah 3rd. Ronnie Silk 4th. Rowan Pennick rounding out the top 5. Patrick Emmerling still running strong in 6th. Justin Bonsignor in that 51 car has battled his way back into the top 10. He's 7th. Woody Pitcat in 8th. Eric Gooddale in 9th. And Eric Beers, who finished 4th here in July, is now into the top 10. Doc, this sets up something very interesting. We always call that Saturday night short track racing the dash for the cash. Yeah. This is the biggest track that these guys compete on, but let me tell you something, it's going to be no different than any of those racetracks on a Saturday night.
Matty?
Dixter, it's going to be one of those restarts where it's almost like a chess match. People trying to position themselves for the run to the finish. In fact, Teddy Christopher told his spotter, tell Ronnie Silk, try to dive in behind me as soon as you can. We'll try to hook up, work together to get to the finish. See what we can pull out of this.
A little teamwork brewing between non-teammates.
Well, yeah, and the thing that you wonder about, Christopher is in the second spot, Silk is in the fourth spot, so they're going to restart essentially together, but they're going to be in the outside. So we'll see how this goes.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be an exciting restart when we go green once again. We're going to come back for that here on Speed, the FW Webb 100, and the final dash for the cash when we return. The final 10 laps of the FW Webb 100 for the Mighty Modifieds here at Loudon, New Hampshire. A beautiful day. Dick Berggren with me in the booth, Matt Yoakum on pit road, and we're having a blast calling this one. Your leader right now is Doug Coby. He elects to start on the outside. Ted Christopher on the inside in that 3 machine, and he and Ron Silk are trying to hook up here, Silk in that 6 car.
Yeah, but see, because Coby took the outside of the restart, that does not put those two drivers together.
Standing on the gas, Leah does not come up to speed. He kind of leaves Ted Christopher hung out to dry a little bit. Doug Coby with that momentum on the outside, and here comes Ron Silk to the outside of Christopher.
And Christopher way down on the bottom going through that corner.
Donnie Leah fading back. He's losing a bunch of spots there. Patrick Emmerling now to the inside of Ted Christopher. A little contact there, I believe, as well.
Yeah, 9 to go.
Whoa, look at the modified spread out 3 wide coming down the straightaway. Eric Beers in that 45 machine. He is the cream in an Oreo cookie right now. And
crash.
Emmerling, trouble. Woody Pitcat also involved. The 46 of Eric Burt. Bonsignor up against the wall for the 2nd time here at New Hampshire this year. Todd Zegedy in the 2 machine. And Brian Chu in that 88 car. He's running one of NASCAR's spec engines, all involved in the big one in turn number 1.
I hope Chu's going to be okay. He's racing with a broken wrist today.
Andy Seiss also slow on the racetrack in that 70 car, but for the first time we saw the big one here today. Let's take a look at what happened. You see the 45 of Eric Beers trapped in the middle there, but what happens is just in front of them.
Yeah. Emmerling sideways in front. Pitcat gets into him. And then Chu up in the air over the top of Pitcat's car.
Here's another view.
Looks like he got tangled up with the 76 of Blewett, who had just crashed, and they tried to fix that left front. Blewett running considerably slower than the other cars on the track, and that's what caused it.
Man, that's got to be disappointing. Patrick Emmerling having a great run here today. Bonsignor had battled his way back into the top 10, and Woody Pitcat the first time back in that race car all year long, running in the top 10, and that all goes for naught here today.
Brian Chu with a badly damaged left front corner of his car. It just has not been a good race weekend for Todd Zegedy. They struggled with the car in practice, and trying to work through traffic and didn't make it. Pitcat changed the left front on his car.
Pitcat will get back out on the racetrack, but he is not battling for points. He hasn't run the entire season. He's run a few events on the tour this year, but he was having a great run. Now, this does affect a guy like Justin Bonsignor, who is up against the wall in turn number 1 right now. He was 6th in points coming into this one, and his other finish here in July really hurt him in the point standings because he was one of those guys that was contending for a title when we came here in July.
Yeah, and he's going to have a tough time leaving this thing. He's still against the wall, and the laps are counting as we go.
Todd Zegedy, a former champion of the Whelen Modified Tour. He'll go up on the hook, and Todd Zegedy, another guy that has had one of those up and down seasons, came into this race here 4th in points.
That Zegedy car had finished 2nd at Bristol, and here in July it had finished 5th. Those are the only 2 starts for it so far.
Now, Doug Coby, we mentioned him. He is your leader right now in that 52 car. Doug Coby has 5 wins this year. Very strong. He's your point leader. But Doug Coby has never won here and experience the prestige of pulling into victory lane at the Magic Mile, because this race is one of the granddaddies, the Mac Daddies for modified drivers.
Yeah, and in particular, given where we are with the points, for Kobe to win today, that would surely be the biggest win of his entire career, and he's been around this sport a very, very long time. He started racing go-karts and quarter midgets at age 6. That's 27 consecutive years this guy has raced, and you may be a witness to seeing him win the biggest win of that career so far.
This race under the red flag right now. All the cars parked on the backstretch. Ryan Newman, with 6 laps to go, is still in this one, but Newman running in that 11th spot. Speaking of Kobe, he's had 3 straight poor outings. He had a fantastic run at the beginning of the season. How important is it for him in going after this championship to be doing as well as he is today and going after the victory?
Well, it's critical for that to happen for sure. But by the same token, with Ronnie Silk right on his back bumper on this restart, actually they're going to restart side by side. It's, you know, who knows?
Hey, by the way, you and me, we're both on Twitter. So is Clint Boyer. Take a look at this. Thank you, Speed, for airing the modified race. One of the best races all year. Definitely the best race of the weekend, I think. And that's coming from a non-modified tour guy that just appreciates racing. So we appreciate you, Clint Boyer, and watching the broadcast here today, because we are having a blast up here in the booth, and Matt Yoakum also on pit road for us today.
Now, Bob, let's tweet back to him. Next year, July, bring your helmet and your fire suit and come out and play on Saturday with the modifieds.
Absolutely. We can find him a ride. Tony Stewart has done it. Ryan Newman has done it. Even Casey Kane has driven a modified here at Loudon on occasion.
And right now, Richard Childress is probably walking down the Clint's bus going, no, you will not be taking out your helmet next July on Saturday.
Clint Boyer in the chase this year, looking pretty good. But you know what? So are those cars right there. Love watching Barrett Jackson, Las Vegas. Mike Joy is out there. We miss him here today as part of the modified broadcast. You're going to have to check that out, because those cars are mint out there in Vegas. We are under red flag conditions, and this is the reason why. The big one in turn number 1 here today. Patrick Emmerling, Woody Pitkat, Brian Chu, Todd Zadie, and Justin Bonsignor all involved. We have 6 laps to go here at Loudon. Coming up next on Speed, Barrett Jackson live from Las Vegas. Some of the most pristine cars going up for auction here today on Speed. But right now, we are down to the nitty-gritty for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. The conclusion, when we go green once again, it'll be the first attempt at a green-white checker. Up front, Doug Kobe looking really good with Ted Christopher on the outside. Honestly, we are just up north a little bit from Fenway Park. Red Sox out of title contention this year completely, but Doug Kobe, the guy who has led a good chunk of this race, he is your point leader and hunting for his first ever NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour crown.
Yeah, and Ronnie Silk right on his back bumper for all practical purposes, looking for his 2nd championship in a row.
Christopher, Kobe, Leah, Silk, and Goodale, your top 5 at the restart. Who do you like?
About the top 10?
Absolutely.
I know. It's a pressure situation like this. I've got to go with the guy that's got the most experience here and the most wins here. Christopher, I give him the edge.
These cars compete at all sorts of racetracks here in the Northeast, from Riverhead Raceway on Long Island, Stafford Springs, Thompson, Connecticut, all over the place. These guys do battle, and they are some of the best drivers in the country. They come off a turn number 4. Kobe again chooses the outside on the restart. They stand on the gas, and Silk pushes Kobe. But look at Leah, strong on the inside.
Got 3 wide going into the first turn for the lead.
Christopher doesn't have that horsepower, but he battles back. Contact between Silk and Leah.
They are still all over each other.
Ted Christopher fights back into 2nd, but Leah on the inside of Silk. Here comes Eric Goodale to the inside as well, and Newman is there as well.
Maybe Newman does have a shot to win this thing.
Newman clawing his way back to the front. But up front, hard into the wall. Ted Christopher, he goes down and hits the inside wall as well.
Big hit on Christopher's.
Wow, Ted Christopher with a tough hit here on the front stretch. He takes off the wheel inside that machine. crunched up front end on that race car, and the yellow flag is out once again. In fact, we're coming to the checkers. The yellow and checker is displayed. Doug Coby will win his first race ever here at the Magic Mile.
And Pat is point lead.
Coby, Leah, Silk, Newman, and Pennick, the top 5. Wow, that was a rough hit for Ted Christopher.
Yeah, it sure was a rough hit for the team. That car is really badly damaged.
Doug Coby, his 7th win of his career, comes in his 128th start.
Well, he played his cards well today, didn't he? I mean, he just stayed in that top 5 all day long, and when he had to, he was there.
He breaks a streak of some bad luck, some misfortune that actually made his point lead over Ryan Preece shrink. He's able to pad that here today. Ryan Preece finishes 9th. Coby wins, so he gets a little bit of breathing room going into the next event at Stafford Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, a little more room on Silk as well.
Ted Christopher, good to see him climb out of that race car. Let's take a look at what happened to Ted Christopher as he shakes his head while looking at Old Blue.
He just can't quite believe it himself. Oh, that's
Donnie
what
Leah.
happened. Yeah, Donnie Leah trying to go to the bottom and just hooked bumpers. Christopher hit the outside wall, then the inside wall, and he's going to hit the wall again before it's over.
And those two do have a history here in the Whelen Modified Tour. Ted Christopher and Donnie Leah, let's just say they don't like each other too much.
No, they don't have Thanksgiving dinner at the same table for sure.
Absolutely not. But Donnie Leah looked like he was trying to dart to the inside of Ted Christopher and just caught the left side of that rear bumper.
And it's the end of the race, and everybody's running close to each other. Things are going to happen.
Doug Coby's car pulled into victory lane here at Magic Mile for the first time. Think about Wayne Darling, the team owner there. Man, they have been part of the modifieds for a long time, but never has he seen a season like this.
Never has he had a driver produce the kinds of results that Doug Coby has produced for him. This is a solid team now, well on their way to a championship.
Doug Coby, his 6th win of the year. Just 2 races remain. He is your point leader. We go to Stafford Speedway next in Connecticut and wind up with the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing there at Thompson Speedway to conclude the season. Matt Yoakum in victory lane.
And Doug Coby, a tough 3-race stretch. Ends with his first win here at the Magic Mile. 5th win in 2012. Back on track. What's it mean to win here in front of this audience, in front of the legendary names that have won here in New Hampshire?
It means everything. Modifieds at Loudon don't get any better, and I want to thank my guys. They battled all year. Everybody's been asking what's going on with the points thing. We've had 3 bad finishes in a row, and I told them after Riverhead, I'm not giving up. Our team doesn't quit, and that's why we're here in Victory Lane. I want to thank New Hampshire Motor Speedway for allowing the modifieds to race here every year, FW Webb for coming on and sponsoring our race. Of course, I want to thank my sponsor, Harvey. Hope you're feeling okay back at home, buddy. Reynolds Auto Wrecking, Furnace and Duct, Seekonk Grand Prix, and it's just awesome to be in Victory Lane at Loudon. I've been really close a few times, and this team deserves it, so I'm really proud of them.
After the halfway break, walk us through the final 50 laps of the green, white, checkered, and then the restart.
Well, the 4 was fast all weekend, and my car could push like the best car here could. And I was really happy that the 2 of us broke away, so it wasn't chaotic for about 20 laps. And I knew I wanted to get the lead so I could, at the caution, have the outside lane on the restarts. But I also didn't really want to be the leader on a green, white, checkered because I thought I'd get run over. Just so happens that these guys wrecked behind us, and I can't believe we're here at Loudon. What's up, guys? Number 20 shop back at home. My mom, everybody watching the modifieds on speed. Do it again next year, people.
41 points down to 9 coming into New Hampshire. This has to be huge looking into the final couple races, hunting that championship again.
Yeah, I haven't been points racing yet, and even today I wasn't points racing. I'll see what the points look like, but going to Stafford, the 6 and the 16 are really strong there, as is our team. Obviously, we won all 3 there this year, but it's going to be a battle right down to the last few laps at Thompson, so I'm just going to enjoy victory lane at New Hampshire with my guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Doug Kobe, he's taking home a New Hampshire trophy for his trophy case. Bobby?
And Kobe talked about how important it was for the Modifieds to race here yesterday. Jerry Gappens confirmed the Modifieds will be back for 2 races here in 2013. They're going to be back at Bristol in August next year. And the UNOH Battle at the Beach will be at Daytona. And we're going to see a modified driver win at Daytona.
Take a look at some of the results there. Matt Hirschman with a good 7th place run. Ron Newhouse Jr., his 2nd straight top 10 run here at the Magic Mile. Woody Pitcat involved in that big one down in turn number 1. He finishes 11th. Patrick Emerling, man, disappointing for him. He was up front all day long.
But Kobe has been consistent all year long with the exception of those 3 races. Blew up last week, wins this week. From the bottom to the top.
I'll tell you what, Doug Kobe, at the beginning of last year, a lot of people wrote him off. Now he is your point leader in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and in victory lane here today at the Magic Mile. Coming up next on Speed, we're not going away from the Magic Mile just yet, but we're going to head out to Ralph Shaheen, who is out at the Barrett-Jackson auction in Las Vegas. He's going to give us a little tease of what's coming up next.